What's up, guys? Rising Aim Disc Golf here, and welcome to a course playthrough of the Blue Ribbon Pines Disc Golf Course. What's up, guys? Here we are on hole 1. I'm throwing my verdict. This hole is around 296 feet. Didn't hit as close as I wanted, but it is very windy today. This was a bad layup, but it worked fine. We're still going to be taking the par. That hole is just a straight mid-range, and hopefully you can get a birdie. Next up, we have hole 2, 278. I'm throwing a claymore. Gave it a little too much hyzer out of my hand, so it fades out. It was actually a pretty decent shot. Almost made this putt from the brush, but this is usually a hole you want to get, but we're still even, so that's okay. Hole 3, I'm throwing my fuse. This hole is 269, but it is turning right very quickly. This is one of the best shots I've ever thrown on the hole. I peered the gap. As you can see, I was very excited. Except, I'm only about 20 feet away, but I had to straddle way out around the trees, and I airballed. I was very mad, but got the par. We just made par on hole 3. Moving on to hole 4. Par 4, 444 feet. It is the infamous tunnel shot on Blue Ribbon Pines. And the game of this hole is just to get par, really. You want to get it in the fairway, all the way down. So we'll see how I can do that. Okay, so I'm going to be throwing the Westside Discs Maiden on this hole. It's a pretty new one, so it's dead straight. A lot of people like throw mids or drivers, but I like to throw putters just to make sure I keep it in the middle. Not to jinx myself, anything can happen on this hole. So this shot was actually really good out of my hand. It was exactly what I wanted, but the main just turned more than I expected. That's still a fine shot, except here I had to pitch out with my anvil. There's really nothing if you get off the fairway to the right. That was an errant shot for my third with my main, but I got a good double kick back to the middle. As you can see, there's an alternate fairway off to the left, so a lot of people like to take a sidearm from there if they find themselves there. Hole 5, 277. I'm throwing my more beat-in maiden, and I absolutely parked it. Now we are back to even. Hole 6, this one's just around 200 feet. This was a bad shot, but it got a good skip on the ground to remain inbounds. I'm here at about 35 feet, and I made that awesome birdie putt. So we are back to 1 under. This is a pretty must-get birdie. Hole 7, par 4, 624, and we've got a pond in the middle of the fairway. I'm throwing my verdict to try to lay up. I actually thought I had a good shot. Kicked a tree, and I had an unfavorable lie, and I was forced to do a weird patent pending, and I kind of pulled it with my verdict again. There you can see the pond. So I'm left with about a 50-foot jump putt for my birdie. Almost made it, but we're still 1 under. Here is hole 8, 370. I threw my Raider off the tee. I like to get aggressive. Got a good double kick back in the middle of the fairway. Here we are with my Moonshine Emac. Very good upshot. I was proud of that. So, as you can see, it is very windy. We have got the trees shaking. That wind will come into play later. Cleaned up the par, still 1 under. Here we are, hole 9, 150. This is a very short hole. I like to go alternative route with a slammer hyzer. Got a good kind of kiss off the tree, and we are here with a pretty close putt for birdie, which puts us to 2 under par. This is hole 10, 130. This is a very dumb hole, in my opinion. It's a filler hole. We've got a Mando on the tree there, you can see. This is like the average shot, and really you're not going to get a birdie unless you get lucky. It's a 90-degree bend, and yeah, it's just a filler hole. Hole 11, par 4. 424, very tightly wooded. I threw my Lucid X Maverick with a little too much hyzer, so it's going to hyzer out to the left. Throwing the same disc again with a touchy forehand. Got a little too far, but I should be fine. Got my suspect here, just going to give it a little Annie, try to pitch it over that little pond that you can see to the right. And I've left myself with about a 25-foot putt for par, which I make even though the pond is right behind the basket. That's a bit of a tough one. Hole 12, 327, par 3. Throwing my getaway off the tee. Let it go just a little early. It's going to fade out. Over there's I just decided to lay up because there was some thorns in the bush, couldn't really get a good putt. And we had an elevated basket. Hole 13, 252, par 3. I hit a random little stick that I didn't even see, and it dropped me straight down. I was able to pitch up with my anvil and make that semi-difficult putt in the wind. Here we are, hole 14, 352. I'm throwing my Lucid X getaway just because of the extreme left-to-right wind. It gets killed. Here we are with my slammer. I thought this was a good upshot, but the tree decided to reject it and rolled back, but no problem putt. If you have a forehand, that hole was good for a forehand. This is hole 15, 421. I think it actually plays a little shorter because it's a short pin. My disc got carried away by the wind. As you can see, that putt I threw very lightly, and the headwind just lifted it. Here we are, hole 16, 283, the pit hole. I threw my Moonshine EMAC, probably the best shot I've ever thrown. Got in the pit, got the birdie. Hole 17, 253, this is the hanging basket hole. A lot of people throw forehand, but since I can't, I throw a hybrid Maverick in the same route. And I still got the birdie because I made a huge putt. I was super excited about that. Hole 18, 509, par 4. This is a gap with a pond right off the tee. I threw a trespass very badly. And as you can see, I brought this Mando into play, and I actually had to throw it backwards so I didn't miss the Mando. Here I am with my verdict into a pretty strong headwind. And I threw that pretty close and was able to save my par. This is a pretty easy par 4. A lot of people want to get that birdie 3. Here we are in hole 19, the driving range hole. This is in the short pin right now. 503 par 4. I am throwing my Fusion Raider as hard as I can, and I ripped it out to about 380. It was a pretty good drive, not my furthest, but in this wind I'll take it. Here we are with my slammer, and you can see how the wind just rejected that from fading. Par there. Here we are, hole 20, 444 par 3. This is a far hole. I threw my Ballista Pro into the right to left wind, and it just held really straight. Almost dunked that with a slammer, but we are okay with a par here. Big arms are going to be able to birdie it, but not quite. This shot was so bad that it actually hit an alternate fairway. The basket was right out that front gap. And that looked really gross, but I had a really strong wind, and it lifted it all the way to the basket. Here we are on hole 22. There's actually a lot of flooding, but I played it anyways. It's about 320, and there's a big pond to the right. That was a terrible upshot, but I got a good kick off the rock. I was able to save my par. Hole 23, 212. This isn't my favorite pin position, but I kind of wimped it with the Claymore. And I almost made this jump putt. It's just a mid-ranger putter up the gut. Hole 24, 338, par 3. I'm throwing my Lucid Raider into a left-to-right wind. So that's why it holds pretty straight. I thought I released it a little early, but turned out to be fine. And this wind is so strong, I am putting with my Suspect, and I released it at the cage, and it rose up into the basket. I was very happy about that to get that birdie. Here I'm throwing that Moonshine EMAC. Give it a little too much turn, and I actually did the pro move of skipping off the tree. That was a bit of a shanked up shot with the Suspect, but we were able to save the par. That's ideally a birdie hole, but it's fine if you don't. Hole 26, par 4, 392. One of the easier par 4s on the course. All you want to do is get around it. Get around that first 90-degree angle. Here I'm throwing my Maiden. This is a very good shot. It's hard to stick it on top. And as you can see, it just barely hung on. This is a birdie. It's one of the easier birdies. And even if you didn't make it on top of the mound, it's still relatively easy to make the putt. Here we are, hole 27, 325. Last hole. I'm throwing my Moonshine EMAC about as hard as I can with some hyzer. And you can see it stuck on the island. That's actually the first time I've ever stuck the island with a mid-range. I was able to clean up the birdie. And there you are. That was a course preview of Blue Ribbon Pines. Very awesome course. Very beautiful day.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this round at Blue Ribbon Pines. I'm not quite sure where I am right now. Gonna have to tally it up later, but somewhere under par. That's what I know. I was super excited to stick that last hole with the EMAC Truth, which I've never done before. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you liked it, make sure to go over there and click to subscribe. Make sure to leave this video a like and comment down below your thoughts. We will see you in the next one. Peace.